Hey, what's up, everyone? So, if any of you know what the real ID entails, please let me know. Because so far, they really don't tell much about it except for the fact that you won't be able to enter a federal building without it. That means any type of DMV, the courthouse, or any type of place where you renew your licenses or licenses. Well, where you renew your license or get the license plate renewed, the tags renewed, or whatever, vehicle inspection, and all of that crap. You won't be able to do it without. And federal buildings are considered everywhere. So what it is sort of it's a federal identification type of thing. So what they're saying it is it looks like this. Now the only difference I see is some say that it's a scannable star, that it's a star on there. I don't really see what the difference. What's the difference? Please tell me what the difference in this ID is in comparison to what we were seeing before. Except there's a star. I don't see the difference. Now, most all states have had to comply with it, and everyone's asking, well, what is this real ID? Before, there were a lot of rumors going on stating that I mean, I don't have my driver's license right now, but I'll have to get the real ID to comply with this. But what is the real ID? Federal law claims that they state we have to do this, and it's been in place since 2001. Now, it requires the first application for real ID compliance be made be made in person. Basically, you make the compliant credibility credentials. You have to do this in person at the place. You can apply for a real ID compliant credential at any of the 44 driver services. Okay, across Tennessee. A list of participating county clerks will be provided here ahead of July 1st. They don't really tell anything about it. Still, the only thing we know is that the Real ID program is to be instated next year. Many are saying August of 2020, but they begin issuing them on July 1st. Now, you can't fly planes or go into federal buildings without it. And it also is sort of entailing this. Many people rumor that it's entailing this facial recognition biometrics technology. I've already had to do, even for my Galaxy S5, for more security purposes, they recommended that I do this, that I had to scan my thumbprint and register my thumbprint and my index fingerprint. So I had to register 2 prints with the bottom of my S5 and scan my thumb to unlock my phone. Either that or type in the password that I've chosen for the unlock screen. So I had to do both for security purposes, for convenience purposes. So I mean, you really don't have much choice in the matter. So far, I'm seeing nothing about microchipping, as the rumors were entailing before many years ago. I know it would have happened with or without this administration. I mean, even though they are doing more security, they are adding more border security and all of that, it would have still happened. You would have had to have it whether you cross the border or whether you enter a federal building or have an identification or a license or anything. You would have to have had a real ID on there, a real ID. You would have had to be. The thing is, some people are stating that it puts you in the international computer system, and that worries people about a data breach or hacking and being in the situation of your information and personal information being in a data breach. Now, to get this, I would have to bring something like a doctor's bill with my name and address on it, or I would have to get some form of ID that I've had in the past or something at school. Sadly, I have not been able to get anything like that yet because I haven't been able to get out there, and I've been with my mom. I've been helping my mama, and I have not had a job yet. So that's just the way it's gone. And In a way, I would have liked to have furthered my education, still would, still might very soon. And it's just, but I have not done all of that yet. I do know that I'll have to give the social security number, have to go to the office and get that, and do all of this stuff when the Real ID program starts, because you'll have to have all of these information, all of this information, your proof of address, residency, and identification. Anymore, you call a pizza in, and it's like they'll give your name. It's like, oh, this is your name. Okay, you live at so and so. We got it. I mean, everything is so instant. I don't really see how they don't know who you are anyway, to be honest. But anyway. But they said the Transportation Security Administration began posting signs at security checkouts now and checkpoints. Here's the thing: some people were concerned because their face was automatically registered, and this woman said, "Hey, you didn't even tell me. They just said stand over there, and we'll scan your face." They scanned her face, and she said it registered me, recognized me, and scan a database of billions of people and relay that information back within 3 seconds and told me to go on to the plane. And they said, yeah. And she said, well, I didn't approve of that. And they said, well, we're sorry. It was a whole ordeal. And they said, we're sorry. We haven't implemented facial recognition yet as a requirement. So they put you in there without your consent. You can have this undone and just use your regular passport or ID. Well, she did that. She told the news it's scary what all they have on us. We'll be tracked everywhere we go, basically every facility, every place, every street, we already are tracked through Google. They have our information, and our devices track where we are, and they look at you, and they're like, well, if you don't, then you're a criminal. They see you. The majority of cameras are everywhere, and on the streets, and in the stores, and everywhere you go. And so you obviously are already in that system. But then once you get that federal ID, they can match you up with where you've been. And it makes it a whole lot easier to track people. But some people were saying, is there a microchip in there? Is there an RFID chip, radio frequency identification chip? But the administration, right now they stated that the administration ahead of the airport security is what's really pushing this, but they're pushing the upcoming requirement changes, and this website claims they're going to break it down. It was formulated after September 11th, and if you remember on Rick and Morty, they said it's an excuse to take away our freedom. Remember on Rick and Morty, it's an excuse that took away our freedom. Excuse that took away our freedom. And that's what he stated when the episode with Nathan Fillion guest starred, the season premiere of season 3. Nathan Fillion from Castle, who played Castle on the show, he guest starred as an intergalactic alien. I don't remember the name, but he was an agent. And they were looking through Rick's memories, and that's when Rick said, "An excuse that took away our freedom," just like that. And you can find that in the beginning part of Season 3, Episode 1, the season premiere of Rick and Morty, with Castle, or Nathan Fillion guest starring. So they said it was passed as the Real ID Act. It sets standards for the insurance of sources of identification, such as the driver's license or identification, ID. So what they're doing is they're putting every single type of everything will be stored in that. That's what, from what I hear, at least the news that I'm getting makes it seem like, I hope I wasn't covering this microphone the entire time. Let me know you can hear me clearly, because I really hope I wasn't covering the built-in microphone on this tablet. Sorry, my allergies drive me crazy, and I've been feeling like crap, so I apologize if I sound off in this video. I just wanted to talk about a few things. So, they stated that all of your information is included with this. They'll be able to find a background of all your information instant. But a lot of people, including myself, feel it is leading toward another direction. It's leading toward this controlled society on an account of convenience, in the name of convenience, in the name of security. It's heading toward a very controlled and monitored society more than we are now. But it's supposed to have your medical, some say your social security number. That's why they want you to bring all of that there, so you don't have to have any separate information. Your social security number, your identification number, your name and address and information, medical documents, whatever they want to include with it, I don't know. But I do know that the first three I mentioned are in there. Your residency, where you live, and all of your identity number and everything basically are all included in that Real ID. Every bit of it is scanned and recognized with your face. But it's aimed at eliminating airline terrorism, they claim, by increasing the requirements to obtain documents, granting access to domestic planes. State agencies like Department of Motor Vehicles require more paperwork now regarding the proof of your residency, social security number, when it comes to issuing license identification cards under the new act. It's not just going to be a simple, you get your license and that's it. Or you get your ID and that's that. Apparently they require proof of your residency, any type of photo ID you've had from the past, any type of anything that you have on yourself from the past. They require that. And that's what they'll have to have. Social security number, any type of identification you've had, or proof of your photo ID from school, or let's see, what else was it? Your residency proof, documents from medical document or whatever you have, any bills. In addition to the cards themselves, they say they'll also have there will also be built-in. The cards themselves will have built-in. Will also be built using new technology, making them more difficult to forge. So gone are the days of fake IDs. People used to make fake IDs, and people, when I was in school, people even talked about how they made fake IDs to go to clubs and places. And I never did, but they always bragged about using fake IDs to do all kinds of things. People used to buy alcohol and everything, and they would go to clubs and things, and all kinds of things with fake IDs. And that's just what they would do. When I was in school, I heard about that all the time, and that was a big thing in shows and movies they would do. But that's going to be pretty much impossible to forge now, unless the place doesn't really care and they don't really look into it much. But they said it has taken the federal government nearly 15 years to implement the act fully. It was a gradual process that has been met with confusion, such as each state has a different status. However, all states will need to be in compliance with this by October 1st, 2020. So what it looks like in most states, there's a gold or a black star on the front of the license plate that will signify your compliance. It will signify compliance. If you see this, then you're good to go. However, to make it more confusing, they said a few states have issued compliant IDs without a star. Hawaii, Ohio, Tennessee, and Utah have issued a compliant card or compliant ID card without the star. So it's best to confirm with your state if you don't see a star. Some states, including Michigan, Minnesota, New York, Vermont, and Washington State, are currently issuing enhanced driver's license or IDs. They are a form of real ID, but they additionally allow land and sea border crossing to Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. An easy way to know if your card is not compliant is if it says not for federal identification or federal limits apply. If it doesn't say federal limits apply, then you're good to go, they say. They said check to see. Airports and any type of federal facilities, it will affect your ability to enter them or board the place. And any place, pretty much everywhere that has free Wi-Fi, any type of place that's a federal building, which is pretty much all business you can think of, they are considered federal buildings, and they'll require you to have it by October 1st and be in compliance. July 1st of this year, it rolls out in Tennessee. Every state and territory resident will need to present a Real ID compliant license or just a regular ID or another acceptable form of identification, passport, passport card, something, for accessing federal facilities, and that includes boarding commercial aircraft. Any federal facility, that could be your local DMV, that could be a business that's a federal facility, that could be the courthouse, it could be the place where you renew your license or have your emissions testing. It could be a facility where you enter for renewing your vehicle tags, whatever. You have until October 1st, 2020 to obtain this Real ID and become a compliant individual. The compliant license. They said check your license to be sure. If not, you won't be allowed to go anywhere or do anything. If it is Real ID compliant, I'll have to get my ID because I don't have it yet. But anyway, if it is real, also I'll have to link it with Google and everything. If it is a Real ID compliant, then there'll be a star in the top right corner. Many drivers may not have this, may not realize they already have one, especially since some states have been issuing them for a few years, and some of them don't put the star on it. But if you have a driver's license or ID from one of the states that have been granted the extension, your license is good for travel for the dates noted in our chart unless additional extensions are granted in each state. Vary slightly. Also note that these dates are not set in stone, as many may still obtain another extension beyond those dates as well. It's not all done completely. Bottom line, if you're not in compliance with a Real ID with your state's deadline, you'll need to show an alternative form of acceptable identification before you can do any travel. What the Real ID isn't. They don't apply. Real ID requirements don't apply to voting or registering to vote. So apparently you don't have to have the Real ID to vote. What if you're illegal? Apparently they'll still, wow, they must still be going to let illegals vote this time. Moving on. Voting or registering to vote. Applying for or receiving federal benefits. So you don't have to have it for that. You don't have to have this ID for being licensed by a state to drive. You don't have to have it to enter federal facilities that do not require identification. Accessing health or life-preserving services, including hospitals and health clinics, law enforcement, constitutionally protected activities, including a defendant's access to court proceedings, and participating in law enforcement proceedings or investigations. So, apparently, it isn't... they don't apply to all of that, even though they claimed it did earlier, so I don't know. In most states, obtaining a Real ID isn't necessary. But there are many reasons why people will choose to obtain a Real ID. If you want to fly, if you don't have a passport or TSA ID, if you need to visit a secure federal facility, such as a military base, if you have to do that. Sounds mainly like flying or going to a federal government building. So I'll pull up more information on this. Let's see, where's Tennessee on this list? It's not on this list. I'll pull up more information on this another time. And we'll talk about it in detail. I'll leave the link to this article so you can check it out for yourself below. So let me know what you think about this. What is this all about? Is it leading to something else? And some say it puts you in an international system, so I'm not sure. I know during the previous administration it was really, really getting ridiculous, and now they seem to be starting things again, but this has been talked about for many years, and now, boom, it is suddenly a law. So give your thoughts. They say it's not required, but yet they say it is required. Tell me what you think on all of this. Peace, much love. My links are below if you'd like to support. Feel free to do so. The smallest donation is greatly appreciated and can help out greatly. We did go to the negatives again, but life happens. So if anyone donates, it's greatly appreciated and helps out. And I went ahead and copied the link to this article for the video that you see here. I went ahead and copy the link so that you can see it below and read all of this information on the Real ID for yourself. I know that different places are different, but everyone has to comply, they say. But yet they say we don't have to comply. It's not a requirement, but it's recommended. From what I've been hearing, it's a requirement, and it's a security requirement from what I'm hearing. I've been reading about this since 2016, but now it's official by 2020, and they've started it in July of this year. So give your thoughts on all of this. Like I stated, links are below. PayPal is at http://www.paypal.me/spaced-out-productions. I love you all. Signing out. If you'd like to, you can scan this link right. This link will take you directly to my PayPal. What do you think about all of this? Give your thoughts on it. I love you all. Signing out.